Hello and welcome to today's webinar. I'm John Larson with American Real Estate Investments. Changing the lives of generations to come through passive wealth building. That is our goal here. This actual presentation it's a presentation that I'm going to be presenting this weekend at the Dallas Think Realty Expo that they have every year here in downtown Dallas. And so I wanted to also provide this same presentation to all of our current clients and any prospective clients out there. And this presentation is basically going to cover, our philosophy on turnkey investing, and also, our model when it comes to acquiring properties, renovating properties, tenant screening, property management, and then a little bit more about our customer service with our investor concierge here at American Real Estate Investments. So first and foremost, let's just get right into it here. I'd like to talk a little bit about what does turnkey even mean. I think it's something that's thrown around pretty loosely in the real estate investment world, and so that's part of the things. The topics I want to cover is, what is real? What should you expect from working with an actual real turnkey company? So you see here, I have 3 definitions that I was able to find just by Googling the term turnkey. And C1, the provision of a complete product or service that is ready for immediate use. Term used by listing agents in marketing remarks to indicate that the home is move-in ready, and something, especially a house, that is ready for use right away with no additions or modifications needed. So from my opinion, I've seen a lot of companies out there come and go. I've seen a lot of my friends, examples of their rental properties, and they would be something I would consider, their renovation standard would be something I would consider a lipstick renovation, right? You get in, you put some carpet in there, you paint the house, you freshen it up, make it look pretty nice cosmetically, nice enough for a tenant to move in, and then you throw a for lease sign out in front of the door on the lawn, and you just hope a tenant comes in and rents it and gives you some money. Now, when at American Real Estate Investments, and really any other reputable turnkey provider across the country, you're going to have to go above and beyond that to make sure that your clients are really receiving a top-end property, something that's going to be durable, something that has, the roof replaced or enough life left on the roof. I like to go for 10 years. We like to make sure there's at least 10 years left of life on a roof, on an HVAC, a big fixed item. Water tanks, they got to have at least 50% left of life on them, which you're talking about 6 to 8 years. If they don't have that, then, we got to take it out. We got to replace it. Although we back all of our properties with a warranty, which we'll get into later, we still need to make sure once that warranty runs out, are you all of a sudden start going to you're running into a bunch of fixes, a bunch of high price maintenance costs. We don't want that. We don't want high cost deferred maintenance early on in ownership. We want these things to run pretty smoothly for you, and that's generally our philosophy. So next here, I'd like to talk about, what you should look for in when you're in any turnkey provider or any company that you're looking to invest in or invest with. What are the 3 things that you should look for? So a lot of times you see this graph here, people are looking at this in inverted, right? It's starting with the house, then the market, then the team. But really, ultimately, it's most important to start with the team first. You want to make sure that you're working with a solid, reputable company. Look them up on Better Business Bureau. Look up, some reviews on the company. Ask for references. Properly vet out the team first. If you're going to work with a turnkey provider, you want to make sure you're working with somebody that's reputable in the industry and stands behind their clients and stands behind their investments, most importantly, as well. So, number 1, team. You can start with the team, and then no matter what market you're in America, you can see success through your investment if you have the right team that managed it, produced the asset, found the asset, renovated it, all that. If that's a solid team that puts you in a good position to win, you'll win. And then you want to look at the market. You want to delve into the market, right? What is this market going to get me? The reason why we like the DFW market and why we like Texas as a whole for our A-class inventory specifically is because the properties rent quickly. There's a lot of job activity here, lots of jobs moving into the market. I'm sure everybody's heard about Toyota opening this summer. That was a big announcement a few years back. Well, it's coming to fruition. They're opening this summer. They're bringing 4,000 jobs with them, and they're bringing another 1,000 jobs or hiring another 1,000 people here in the DFW area. And then you got to think, how many service jobs are going to spin off from that? How many dry cleaners are going to open up? How many electricians, plumbers, restaurants? How much retail is going to spawn off from all these new people moving into the market? And Toyota's just the latest one, but there's been more outside of Toyota. There's a ton more companies that are planning to move into DFW, and there's a lot of reasons why. Central location, affordability in the markets, business-friendly tax incentives, no state income tax here, so the list goes on, but Texas is just a great area right now for business. And then the third thing you want to look at is the actual house itself, right? A house itself is extremely important, but it should be the last thing that you consider, because you can have a great house in a great market, in a great neighborhood. The house is great, but without the proper team managing it or a good reputable company renovating the home, it's just going to fail. It's not going to work, right? I've seen time and time again investors fail because they had poor management. Or, the house looked great in photos, but it just really wasn't a truly durable property. They didn't go in and replace all the high cost fixed items on a home. You need to pay attention to that stuff. So all these houses, whenever you purchase them, you need to make sure they pass a third-party inspection from a reputable inspector. And I just can't stress enough how important the actual team is to actually make sure that these investments are going to perform at their highest and best. It's so important, so important. It's just, I see time and time again, people get caught up with the actual home. It's not the home. The home is the cash flow generator. The home is going to get you what you want, right? You want that passive income, it's going to get it for you. You position it in the right market where we're seeing a lot of population growth, a lot of demand, you're going to see appreciating values. The market is too healthy right now. I know everybody wants to talk about, well, there's no crystal ball, historically, we're seeing appreciating values in our markets. In Texas specifically, in Dallas-Fort Worth, in 2012, when we first started purchasing homes down here, in the areas where we buy in, the Lancaster, Cedar Hills, Duncanville, DeSoto's, we were selling these properties to our clients for 120, below 120, between 110 and 120. In the same neighborhoods we're buying today, we're selling for 170, 180. And honestly, we would have already been priced out of this market if it wasn't for the fact that the rents have appreciated as well due to all the demand. So we'll get into that a little bit further, a little bit later, but I also want to go into our actual model here. So you'll see a lot of these things here, acquisitions and property identification go hand in hand. Renovation and the transaction process go hand in hand. Property management and aftercare, or what we call it now, your investor concierge, go hand in hand. So on acquisitions, we're acquiring properties based on three factors: the market, the neighborhood, and the type of tenant that the property is going to attract. Those are very, very important things. We obviously want to buy in good neighborhoods. We do not buy in bad neighborhoods. I recommend that nobody buys in bad neighborhoods, okay? Because where you buy that home is going to depend on what type of tenant is going to want to live in that property, okay? So while we're going through acquisitions, and after we purchase a property, we get it under contract with American Real Estate Investments. We close on that home. We now own it. Now we go and we send our contractors out to confirm the bid. Once the bid is confirmed, okay, it's going to be $25,000 to produce this durable investment for our investors. Now we can put together an all-in price. Once we have that all-in turnkey price available, our investment coordinators here at American Real Estate Investments are going to start presenting these deals to their clients or prospective clients. Okay, and that is where the property identification process comes in. So, and the goal of the investment coordinators is to, number one, find out what your goals are, and then from there, they're going to help, find the right property that's going to fit in with your strategy. Okay, then you look at the step 2 right here. It's the renovation work. So we warranty all of our work, like I said. We do a 90-day bumper to bumper. Once that tenant is placed, you have 90 days. These properties sit vacant for a while sometimes if they're distressed properties or going through foreclosure or whatever it may be. So you don't know exactly what type of unforeseen things might pop up on a renovation until someone actually gets in the property and starts living in it. So even though a third-party inspector got through the home and tested the outlets and electrical looks good, panel looks good, run the water for a little bit, run the shower. They're not taking baths. They're not plugging in flat screen TVs and all that sort of stuff. They're just kind of testing to make sure the stuff works. So once we get someone living in the home and plugging in a bunch of electronics, taking showers, baths, flushing the toilet 10, 15 times a day, you're going to see, was there something that could have been missed by the inspector? Well, we don't want you to have to assume that risk, so we're going to give a bumper-to-bumper warranty for 90 days because it's pretty certain, that within that first 90 days, anything unforeseen is going to kind of come to light, right? And American Real Estate Investments is going to come in and take care of that for you, free of charge. So after the 90 days, we also have an additional 9-month warranty. And that's on anything that we did to the home during renovation. So you're going to receive a scope of work from us that's going to walk through everything that was done to that property. So if we replace the hot water tank and it goes out within the first year, I'm going to replace it free of charge. That's just an example. So usually our properties are moving so quickly. We have a very good reputation. We have a lot of investors who continue to come back and buy more properties from us. So many times our homes are already placed under contract before the renovation is complete. Now, we don't transfer ownership to our owners ownership to our new owners until the property is completed, has passed the third-party inspection. We've given you the finished photos, walkthrough videos, so you see that the property is completed. Our property management team walks the property, makes sure it's ready for rent, and then they put it on the market for rent. At that point, we are transferring the property to our owners, okay? And we also provide a rent warranty, which I'll get in a little bit down the line. But during that process, that is when you are going through the transaction process with your transaction coordinator from American Real Estate Investments. And so that transaction coordinator's job is to walk you through the entire process of closing on a home. I'm personally closing on a home right now, and it's a total pain. I wish I had a transaction coordinator that was holding my hand through the whole thing, working with my lender, working with the title company, working with the agent. It can really become time consuming and really stressful, and it's not something I really want to deal with. So we give you a transaction coordinator. We don't just say, hey, here's your lender. Okay, great. Work with Graham over here. And then at the title company, here's Brittany. Work with Brittany. No, we have somebody that coordinates all this for you, helps you get the insurance, works with your lender, provides you with weekly updates so we get the property closed. It really simplifies the whole process and makes it as the least amount of stress on you as possible. That's our goal. Then the final part here, you got property management. So we have a professional property management company in-house where it's called American Real Property Management, and they manage your asset for you. So everything is in-house. All of our goals are aligned here. So we're an investment company first. We want to make sure that these properties perform and get positive returns to our investors, safe, stable, positive returns, which is why we focus on those A-class properties. And we take care of the asset so you can focus on your next investment. All you need to do is just sit back, collect your money each month, okay? And then this aftercare portion, which is, like I said, going to be called an investor concierge, is supposed to be providing you that white glove service, reaching out to you every month, going over your property management statement, making sure everything on there makes sense, everything looks good, making sure you have no questions about anything, any charges, if there were any charges. But with our properties, you really shouldn't see any charges. Outside of the management fee, there shouldn't be anything else on there. We renovate our homes to a top quality standard. There should not be a lot of maintenance requests and things like that on our properties, and there's really not with our A-class inventory. We want the A-class inventory to be as passive as possible, and I'll tell you what, my client's experience has been that way. Passive, passive, passive. You dip into some of these C, D, low B properties, you're going to have some headaches. You're going to have turnover. You're going to have evictions. You're going to have a lot of maintenance requests. They're older built homes. The type of people that live in these homes make a lot of maintenance requests. They break things. They don't take very good care of the house. And when it comes time for a turnover, or if you do have to perform an eviction, you're going to have a high turnover bill. I'm telling you, I've seen it time and time again. Carpet's trash, floor's trash, there's insects, rodents in the house. These people aren't taking care of the houses. So that's why we focus on higher end rents, higher end neighborhoods where we can get a true middle class tenant in there because they're going to take care of the home. So that's where aftercare or investor concierge works with our property management company to consistently provide updates, keep you in the know, and also just give you one direct point of contact at our company that knows everything about your asset. Okay? And we don't want you to have to feel like, well, who do I call for this? Do I call my manager? Do I call the investor concierge? Do I call Vanessa, the transaction coordinator? Do I call John? Do I call my investment coordinator that identified this property for me? Who do I call? No, no, no. You call one person here. That's it. We want it to be a very safe, passive, stable experience, something that's easy, something that you're just going to sit back and collect that rent check each month. That's all we want. That's the goal here. So next is the turnkey process. And I pretty much brought it down to five simple things, right? Well, simple. It's not really simple. It's actually a lot of work, but it's acquisitions, renovation, tenant screening, which is very important, and then the management side. Okay? So let's delve into those a little bit further. So acquisitions, number one, everything starts with the acquisitions. So I truly believe, and you all should believe that are watching this webinar, you're in your living room, wherever, in your office, acquisitions can make or break your investment. That is so true. Okay, I used to, when I first started in this business, I'm from a suburb of Detroit. Grew up there my whole life. I got into real estate investing as a young man. I started off as just a real estate agent. But before that, I was working on homes with my family. You know, we'd flip homes. And I got my real estate license. I was working at the number one brokerage in Michigan, Max Brook Realtors, who was selling luxury real estate in Birmingham, Michigan. And you know, it just wasn't very consistent income. You know, great income in the summer, but then the market would kind of taper off in the winter. There wouldn't be a lot of action, a lot of movement. So I started working with investors. And the first city we started investing in, you know, coming during that recession time, was Detroit. You could gobble up properties for next to nothing. You know, put 20 grand into them and you got a turnkey asset, and you know, you have people beating down the door saying, I'll pay $800 a month to live in here. But I'll tell you what, if I could go back and do it all over again, I would never, ever, ever invest in that stuff. I would never buy that stuff because I just have so many just headaches. And even thinking back on it right now, I'm like, what were you thinking? But I learned a lot. You know, I stubbed my toe quite a few times. I learned a lot on what not to do. And it all starts with the acquisition process. I shouldn't have been buying properties in those neighborhoods, thinking that I was going to get that return that the spreadsheet spit out, because it was not actual. There was too much risk involved with it. So you really have to think about, where am I buying this home? What type of tenant is this property going to attract? And I've just seen it time and time again. You know, you buy in bad neighborhoods, you're going to see bad results. And so I really believe, you know, the rule of you get what you pay for really applies in acquisitions. You want cheap properties, you're going to get what you pay for. You're not going to see results. I'm telling you right now, it's just not going to happen. And if you do see results, you're going to see those high peaks and low valleys. Maybe once you get a good tenant in there that stays for a year or two, maybe. Then they move out, the house is vacant, it's in a bad neighborhood, you get people breaking in, theft, vandalism. I've seen it time and time again. So acquiring properties in good neighborhoods will attract good tenants and make your investment more passive. That is the goal. I'm telling you, you pay a little bit more, the return on the spreadsheet seems a little bit less, but in actuality, it's more stable, it's more passive, it's more consistent, and really over time, it is by far and away a much better investment. Far and away. And then if you buy in good neighborhoods, they're going to remain desirable, okay? People want to live there. Owner-occupants want to live there, okay? The area is desirable. The properties will continue to appreciate in value because there's demand to move into that area. The worst case scenario, they don't appreciate. They stay stagnant, okay? And even if we run into another recession, I hear it all the time. Well, John, what if we run into another recession? We might. It might happen. But if you buy in good neighborhoods, the values will come back. You're buying these properties to hold them primarily pretty much anyway, right? I'm sure you can withstand the 4 to 5 year recession period that may happen like we had last time. All the people that bought low or held on to the investment because it was cash flowing, you still have people out there that want to rent your house. These are roofs. They need a place to live. Everyone I know that held on to their assets or they bought when they were low are sitting on a ton of equity today. Because guess what? The market bounced back. It's right back to where it was. Hot everywhere. Especially Dallas, but hot everywhere. My friends in Michigan, my family in Michigan, they can't find a house in good neighborhoods. They're getting outbid left and right. The market's healthy everywhere right now. The banks are lending money. The money's still cheap. It's going to be hot everywhere. But especially down here in a market like Dallas where, you're talking about Texas as the second most Fortune 500 companies. In America, they passed California. They've been stealing jobs from California for the past 10 years since Rick Perry was in office advocating Dallas. And they keep coming. Okay? So you see at the bottom, this is just a general rule of thumb. If it's too easy and too cheap to acquire properties in a particular market and area, think twice about the investment. You may already be setting yourself up for failure. I'm telling you. If it's easy to get homes, you can get them cheap. And if it's easy to get homes in a hot market like we have today, it's probably not the best neighborhood. It's just not. Because people want to move into good neighborhoods. Okay? So I don't see markets like that. If it's easy to get properties and they're cheap, I don't see them really appreciating. I don't see that happening because the demand is not there. So we kind of touched on this, but always keep in mind that the type of tenant you might attract based on the location of the property. And an $800 per month rental is the same no matter where you invest. I've heard this wives' tale plenty of times too. Excuse me. Oh, no, yeah. Birmingham, Alabama, you get a great tenant at $800 a month. Or it's a much better area in Birmingham at an $800 rent than it is in Memphis. No, it's not. No, it's not. Not true. Okay? An $800 rent in Detroit, a neighborhood in Detroit that rents for $800 is no different than a neighborhood that rents for $800 down here in Dallas. It's no different. You're going to attract the same type of tenant. Same tenant profile. I promise you. Okay? Higher earning income tenants generally result in safer, more passive rental investments. That's the truth. People that generally make more money are a little bit more responsible. They have better credit scores. They pay their bills. They're not the type of people that want to get evicted. Okay? They don't get evicted. They have stable income, stable jobs. If you have stable income coming in, you shouldn't have to go through an eviction. Now, I get it. Some people are going to go through a position where, hey, you go through a divorce, you get sick. I've had a tenant down here in Dallas. He got sick. He had a heart condition. Went to the hospital for 3 months. Turned his keys over to us. Guys, I can't pay the rent. I'm sick. There's going to be some hardships on people, okay? But our main goal is to set you up for success down here. And that's by going after higher earning income tenants. And the only way you get the higher earning income tenants is if you buy in the neighborhoods where those people want to live. Okay? So let's talk about, how to underwrite a good property. Okay? To make sure it's a good deal. So number one, you want to start with that area or that market. Okay? Make sure you're comfortable with the area. And I always recommend go out and look at these properties yourself. Go look at these neighborhoods yourself. And I always welcome my investors to come down and see what we have to offer. Come see us. Come see the neighborhoods. And so a quick general rule of thumb, if you want to analyze the rent value in the area, that's what you want to do. Number one, when you're starting with a rental property, here's an example of how we do it. So number one, you're going to look at a home and you're going to say, how much is this home going to rent for, right? So you talk to a broker, you talk to a buddy, you look at some comps, whatever it may be, you say, okay, this property right here, this is going to rent for $1,200 per month. Okay, now the next thing you want to look at is the acquisition. How much is it going to cost to buy this home? Okay, $95,000 for this property, as an example here. And then your closing costs, let's just say 2%, safe general rule of thumb, $1,900 to purchase for the closing costs for that home. And then the renovation estimate, $20K. You look at it, you get your eyes on it. Hopefully you're a guy that has some pretty good experience in working on homes and know what things cost. But if not, make sure you have a general contractor with you that can bid the work out. And you take a look at it and you say, okay, this is going to cost about $20,000. So now you're all in at $116,900, okay? But after that, you got to look at some other things in 3, 4, and 5. But that looks pretty good as an investor, right? Because you're at $1,200 rent and you're all in at just under $120. And let's maybe even throw some extra money in there just in case something bad happens. You got that 1% rule, which I know a lot of you investors, that's what you want to get. And if you can get close to the 1% or above the 1%, I mean, honestly, if you can get above the 1%, sometimes you're just in a neighborhood that just doesn't make sense. Not for me. If you're above 1%, generally you're dealing with a neighborhood that's going to present more risk. Okay? But if you're at 1%, you're usually talking about a nice B to B plus investment. Okay? A class, it's a little tougher to get 1%, but Me looking at this deal initially, I'm pretty happy with it. I'm thinking this looks pretty good. Okay? But now you got to look at some other things here. You got to look at the property taxes. And you got to be cautious about, what the property tax rates are in the area. If you don't live in this neighborhood, if you don't live in this area, if you're an out-of-state investor, know what the property taxes are. So Texas is one of those states that has no state income tax. Okay, so the property taxes are a little higher out here. So is Florida. So is Tennessee. I know a lot of people look at Memphis. A lot of people looking in Jacksonville. A lot of people looking in Tampa, Orlando, Nashville. The property taxes are going to be higher in those neighborhoods. Just know that. Okay. And then you got to look at the insurance. You got to be very careful about insurance, right? So insurance in particular neighborhoods or areas, you got to make sure it's not in a flood zone. You got to make sure, if you're buying in an area like Florida or you're buying really south in Texas towards the Gulf, the insurance, they're going to require that you have some storm insurance, some storm coverage, hurricane coverage perhaps. That's going to increase your property insurance and eat into your cash flow. So you need to be very, very conscientious of that. And back to taxes as well. If you're looking up the taxes and you're looking at the tax record, always look at without exemption, without homestead exemption. There's no exemptions if you're an investor. It's not your personal residence. It's not your primary residence. So just know if you're looking at some tax rate on Zillow that cannot be accurate, it might not be accurate. That house could have been owned by a previous homeowner that occupied it as their primary residence. So you're going to want to make sure you do your due diligence there and make sure you know exactly what the tax amount's going to be without any exemptions. Okay? So now if we delve into it a little bit further, upon initial review, rent amount, acquisition price, closing costs, renovation estimate, this looks pretty good. This is starting to look like a good deal. But now when we delve in a little bit further, let's see what happens. So here we go. Now we got to break it down a little further. So at $116,900, that's our all-in costs. Our gross annual rents based on that $1,200 per month is going to be $14,400 for the year. Now your property taxes with this house, we looked it up, it's going to be about $2,500 per year. Okay. Your annual insurance is going to be about $1,000. For a property priced in that price point, you're probably looking at about $1,000 a year. As long as it's not a flood zone or anything like that could trip. And then your annual management fee, if you're going to hire a manager, you got to pay for that too, right? So that's going to come out of the cash flow. So annual management fee is 10%, which is pretty much industry standard. Let's just do 10%. We only charge 8 down here in Texas. In Missouri, we do charge 10, but just use 10% as a general rule of thumb. And so now your net operating income for the year is almost $9,500, okay? And if you divide that, your net operating costs, by your purchase price, you're getting an 8% return on investment, which I believe is pretty solid, especially if you're in a neighborhood where you're going to see some appreciation, you're going to get a safe, good tenant, and generally at a $120,000 house or a rental property purchased in the right market is going to probably be able to attract a really good, safe tenant at that $1,200 rental rate. So in my eyes, I love 8%. That looks great to me, okay? But now we're going to factor in some assumptions because now we're just covering hard costs. That's it. It's just hard costs here. We haven't looked at anything like vacancy or maintenance. And vacancy and maintenance is going to be different, and going into the next slide here, based on different markets and different property classes. And they need to be treated differently. You cannot use the same assumptions for underwriting a property in Dallas that you would for underwriting a property in Detroit and vice versa for vacancy. Okay? Dallas is getting 400 people a day moving into that market. Dallas and Fort Worth, 400 people a day are moving into DFW. That is not the case in Detroit. Okay? I moved away from there. A lot of my friends did. I hear that it may be coming back, and I believe it could come back because it went through such a bad period. There's nothing else to do but go up, So hopefully some people start moving back into Detroit. I still love Detroit. But for right now, there's more people leaving that area than there are moving in. And living here in Texas, I meet people from Chicago. I meet people from Indiana. I meet people, tons from Kansas City, tons from Michigan that are moving down to Texas for better opportunities. I mean, this is where the jobs are. Okay? And so the same is going to go for maintenance in different property classes, A, B, and C property classes. And even D, there's such a thing as D. The stuff that we were doing in Detroit were Ds, $40, $50, $60,000 assets we were selling. Those are Ds. Those are D-class properties. I really recommend you avoid those. Unless you plan on managing them yourself, vetting out the tenants yourself, you want to go into those neighborhoods yourself and knock on the door for rent, because they don't have bank accounts. The majority of them, they don't. So they're going to be going to Western Union or wherever else and getting a money order. You're going to have to chase them down for that rent. I don't want to do that. I do not want to do that, and I'm sure most of the people that are listening to this webinar do not want to do it either. Okay, so let's look at some different property classes and associate the different, what I've seen in my career, what the different type of assumption formulas you should use or percentages you should use when analyzing different property classes. So here's an example of a C-class property. This is a home we did a while back, years ago, in St. Louis here. Not much to it, right? Little boxy home. I think it was under 1,000 square feet. You know, it might have been 2 or 3 bedrooms, 1 bathroom. A little older build, not in the best type of neighborhood. You know, stuff that I really don't invest in today at all. But here's a C-class property, and C-class properties being older, being in neighborhoods where they're going to attract a tenant that's going to, I'm telling you, they're going to beat up on the house a little bit more than a tenant that you're going to attract in a high B or A-class investment. More maintenance calls, all that kind of stuff, maintenance requests, you're going to see it. So with older homes in generally more distressed neighborhoods, you know, you're going to see a higher maintenance. You're going to want to underwrite for higher maintenance. Vacancies can also be higher in areas of C-class properties because of evictions. You know, and then people get evicted, they're not happy, they're going to beat up the house, they're going to do something, break the windows, turn the water on and leave in the middle of the night. And then they'll just leave the door wide open. They don't care. They're getting evicted anyway, right? They'll just leave in the middle of the night, and then you're buying a property in a bad neighborhood. Someone's going to walk in there, they're going to vandalize it, they're going to steal things out of it. I've just seen it a lot. So here's an example of a C-class property. Purchase price, $60,000. Rent amount, $800. Wow. Look at that return on the spreadsheet. It looks great. Right? You're thinking this thing is just awesome. It couldn't be better. Give me 5. Right? I'm just telling you right now. It's very, very tough to manage these type of properties. And then you got to think about what management company even wants to manage C-class investments. Right? Generally, C-class investment properties, you know, they're managed by C-class companies, because I know professional companies that won't touch this stuff. Okay. So here's a B-class investment. This is obviously less risk than a C. You know, you're starting to creep up into a little bit better neighborhood. You can tell this house right here. This is another one that's in St. Louis. It's just a little bit more attractive, a little bit better neighborhood. Rents for a little bit more, right? This one now rents for $1,200 a month, so you should be able to get a higher quality tenant, someone that's got making a little bit more stable income, better jobs, things like that. And then, you know, risk of evictions are going to decline when you get into the higher valued properties and the better neighborhoods, and attracting, you know, better quality tenants with more stable income. Like I said, now you're starting to get tenants that do actually have bank accounts and things like that. You can give them a property management portal, and they can wire in their money from their account. So you'll see that the risk will decrease on a B-class investment. I personally will invest in this kind of stuff as well. I personally, my philosophy is I really don't go below 1,100 on the rental side. So this house right here, if I purchased for 120, 1,200 rent, I'd buy this. I'd buy this property here for sure. So now here we go, the cream of the crop, the A-class investments, the stuff that I truly believe in, the stuff I would sell to my grandmother. I love these homes. These things perform time and time again. They're the most consistent performers we have. And, you know, I do believe in diversification, believe me. If you want to build a portfolio and blend some C's in there, do it. But make sure you have some A-class properties that are consistently performing in that portfolio, because I will promise that those C-class investments will cause some heartache. You will see some evictions. You will see some vacancy. But if you have these consistent performers in there, these A-class properties, you know, they're just always performing for you. They're the anchor of the team. Okay, so now this one, for example, purchase price of $160, rent amount $1,500. You're close to that 1%, right? You're pretty close there. But you're not exactly in line with 1%. A lot of times 1% is tough to achieve in A-class areas and A-class properties, newer built homes. but I'm just telling you right now, it's going to be a much more pleasurable experience. You're going to have a much more pleasurable experience and passive experience owning a property like this. And A-class buildings usually, generally, always give you the best chance, best opportunity for appreciation, okay? Which we all know. The passive income doesn't make you rich. That's just putting some money in your pocket. Where people build wealth, and real estate has made more average people wealthy than any other investment option out there. That is fact. Where people really build wealth is through the equity earned in these properties. And so you can only have 10 conventional loans at a time, right? So I see time and time again a lot of people, they'll max out their 10 conventional loans, and then they'll see, hey, man, my 2 properties in Dallas, I just did got a comparative market analysis, a CMA, from a broker that I know, and they said these things are worth 220 now. I bought them for 170 3 years ago. Man, I should sell 2 of those, take that 100K, and 1031 into something else. I see it time and time again. That's what you do. That's how you build your portfolio. Now you have 2 more loans available. Or you take that 100K and you buy 3 or 4 properties. 2 more, whatever it may be. You have 100K in equity earned out of the property. So that's what I see a lot of people doing. And so with A-class investments, that's obviously going to be your lowest risk. Okay, you're not going to have a lot of risk with these ones because you're just generally buying in better neighborhoods, newer built properties that aren't going to cause a lot of maintenance and breakdown on you. Low risk for eviction, better quality tenants, people that have stable, really good jobs. I see in my A-class investments, I get a lot of people in the medical field, nurses, hospital technicians, whatever it may be, school teachers, things like that. That's who I'm seeing that move into my properties. And so here's an important tip, when you're doing your assumptions. You do not want to use the same type of assumption calculations for all properties, because if you do, if you use the same type of assumptions when underwriting a C-class property that you would for an A, you could literally just assume yourself right out of the deal, okay? So you have to adjust your numbers to specific markets and property classes. That's why you need to do a lot of market due diligence before running your numbers, and you also have to adjust your maintenance assumption based on the year built of the property. So this property pictured, I think, was built in 2010. Are you going to use the same maintenance assumption for a 2010 built home that you would for a home built in the 1950s? You shouldn't, because if you do, you're probably going to end up talking yourself out of that deal. Okay, and it's that's just the way it is. A-class buildings that are usually built within the last 20 to 30 years, that helps with the deferred maintenance early in ownership. Older homes, no matter how well they're renovated, are going to still run into issues from time to time. It's inevitable. Newer built homes have very low maintenance because they have new roofs, the foundation's new, the driveways are new, plumbing and electrical are all new. This keeps your maintenance costs to a minimum. This is why you'll want to use your lowest assumption calculations for A-class investments. So I tell my investors, I wouldn't assume more than 8 to 10% on the high end for the most, cautious investor on A-class buildings. Just, you can't do more than 10. 10 will end up, if you do more than 10, you'll talk yourself out of the deal, I'm telling you. B-class, I'd be at 15 to 18% for B-class. And then with C-class, I'm at 25% minimum. 25% for maintenance and vacancy together. That's where I've seen, you're gonna, if you take just a quarter of that rent right off the top and just say, hey, that's gonna go to maintenance and vacancy, you're gonna at least 25%. That's just what I've seen. But that's how you're gonna want to underwrite these different property classes. Okay. We already talked about this. If you use the same assumptions for all properties without adjusting your numbers to specific markets and property classes, you're going to run the risk of missing out on a great deal. And it's just, that is fact. So still on acquisitions, how do we get properties in hot markets? How do you do that? John, people ask me that all the time. How are you even getting properties in Dallas right now? Not on the MLS. I'll tell you that. We're not getting them on the MLS. You can't get them anymore. The prices are too high. They've ran too high. If it's on the MLS, it's not a good deal. Okay? To get properties in hot markets that are good deals, you have to get them off market. So how do you do that? Number one, I tell everybody you got to build relationships. This is business. This is business. So how do you succeed in business? Building relationships. I myself or members of my team attend every real estate event in the area, networking events, all that. Places where we know that real estate professionals are going to be: agents, brokers, lenders, people that work at title companies, escrow agents. I don't care. Anybody that I can talk to and talk about what we do, and you don't know who they're going to know that you can get access to a good deal. You want to nurture your existing network of contacts. You have a list of people that can get you hot opportunities. Nurture that list. Send referrals when appropriate. Send tokens of appreciation on noteworthy dates. Find out when their birthday is. Find out when their anniversary is. Send them something. Just stay in their mind. So when they do come across that next hot deal, they're like, hey, I'm going to pass it over to John. John's a good guy. John's a consistent buyer. John thinks about me on my birthday. I'll send this over to him, right? I'll give him first right of refusal on it. If you do all these things, you're going to improve your chance of getting a hot deal sent to you before anyone else. You just are. Okay? I've been buying properties cash down here since 2012, and I still have to occasionally reach out to someone on LinkedIn or text them or call them or email them just to stay fresh in their mind. That's just the way it works. You also want to be consistent, right? Maintain a consistent buying pattern. So even my investment coordinators here, they'll send deals to people. We have a list. We have a waiting list right now in Dallas, and so I've implemented that to be fair, because a lot of times my investment coordinators were just shooting all the hot deals off to the consistent investors that always consistently buy. We got guys that'll buy 4 or 5 a year. And so when you got that hot buyer, someone that is going to make a quick decision and pull the trigger, that's who our investment coordinators are going to want to send the properties to. And that's who the agents are going to want to send properties to. The wholesalers, the banks. They're going to want to send the properties to people they know that buy consistently. So that's very, very important. So next, number 3, cash is king, obviously. If you have the capabilities to purchase with cash, you're going to open yourself up to a lot more opportunities. Good investment opportunities also often mean unrenovated or distressed. This makes it tough for investors to get conventional financing. A lot of conventional lenders, they're going to require that the home is in livable condition to give you the loan. Okay? So you need to make sure that this thing is in livable condition, or you're not going to get it with finance. So you got to be ready and prepared to purchase with cash. And I'll tell you, this is pretty obvious. Banks are going to prefer to sell properties for cash because there's no appraisal or survey involved. Okay, they just get to move it very quickly. It's a quick close, no headache for them. If you can purchase with cash and have the capabilities to do so, do it. That's how you're going to get the hot deals. And then number 4, pretty much self-explanatory. Be prepared. Know what you want, know the price point you want, know the specs, know the neighborhood. Do your research before so you're ready. So when you are presented a deal, you are ready to pull the trigger. Because if you think about it or you wait on it, if it's a hot deal, it's going to be gone. I promise you. Okay? Get your finance in a position to make an offer at a moment's notice. Be ready to send that money. Be ready to send that earnest money deposit. Be prepared. Have a lender in place, ready to go. Be pre-approved. All right? There's no time to second guess yourself in a hot market. Hesitate and your opportunity will go to the next investor in line. Always be ready for the next property by staying on top of your market and your business. It's very, very, very true here. So now let's get into renovations. When renovating a home as a rental as opposed to a fix and flip or a retail flip or a house to live in yourself, there are different factors to consider. And so here are some things to take into account, especially when working with a turnkey provider. You're always going to want to conduct a third-party inspection. Never buy something without an inspection. Make sure your inspector checks for useful, make sure your inspector checks for the useful life is what that means to say. Left on high-cost items like roofs, HVACs, hot water tanks, driveways, foundations, plumbing, electrical. Very important. That's the stuff that if that stuff breaks, it's going to cost a lot of money. It's going to really eat into your return or swallow up your return. Durability is more important than fancy when it comes to rental properties. It doesn't matter that it has granite countertops. It's not going to command that much more rent. You're not living in the home. You need to think about the durability factor first. Okay, and if you have a rental, you're going to want to use materials that are inexpensive to replace. We put vinyl plank flooring in our houses in the high traffic areas and the common areas because it's cheap to replace. You don't have to sand down and refinish hardwood floors. You just can pull out. They're glued down. You pull out a couple of vinyl planks if a couple of them get damaged and just set down some new ones. We have all these materials warehoused, so we can cut down on turnover costs. When tenants move out, we can go in and quickly turn properties and do it very inexpensively because we have all the materials warehoused. It's the same paint, the same carpet, the same flooring, everything in every house. Okay, new appliances are also very important. We put new appliances in all of our homes because appliances are usually the things that generally break down. You have an old stove in there, an old fridge, they're going to break down. They just are. And then you got to make sure that the provider, whatever provider you're working with, if you're working with a turnkey provider, you need to make sure that they have a warranty in place. They warranty all their work. Make sure they're standing behind their work, okay? That would be a red flag for me. If I'm talking to a group and I'm buying a turnkey asset and I'm trusting them and I live in California but I'm investing in Texas, I need to make sure that they're standing behind their investment. That's very, very important. And so another rule of thumb there at the bottom, when renovating rental properties, be careful not to over-renovate the home. Avoid expensive finishes and enhancements. Although it might look nice, it might look pretty, you'll see, I'm about to show you some photos of some of our properties on the interior of the home. It looks great. They look great, but the stuff is inexpensive to replace. You have to watch that careful balance. Don't over-renovate your rental property. No need for granite. No need for this high-end tile. No need for putting in real wood floors. There's no need for that. It's not going to command much more rent. Rent is based on neighborhood area. Okay? It's not based on how fancy it is. It's really not. So here's just some examples of the materials that we use. You see the vinyl plank there. We do an oil-based paint on the cabinetry. Even if we buy new cabinets, because the cabinets are old, we still stain them with this oil-based paint. Paint them with the oil-based paint because it's easy to clean, looks nice. You see the walls with neutral tones. Lately, what we've been doing is this nice tan. Tenants seem to really like it, but it's neutral. You got the frisé carpet there with flecks of different colors. So we only really put carpet in the bedrooms. Tenants like the carpet in the bedrooms. But if, you had to replace it, you're only replacing one small room, okay? Kids' room, they ruin the carpet, whatever it is, we're only replacing that one small square there in that room. And like I said, we warehouse all this carpet. We have it all. So, it's not going to be like there's different color carpet in every room. If we have to replace one room, that's it. We got it. We got that stuff on standby. And then we also do an epoxy coating on the countertops. So if you look at that, it looks almost kind of like a granite. It looks nice. It looks much better than just a plain white top, or a plain white Formica top in the kitchen. It's got some character to it. It looks nice. It looks kind of fancy. It looks pretty, right? That's how you're going to lease the property out, but it's inexpensive to do. Someone scratches that, put a hot pot on it, whatever it may be. It's very easy to just epoxy over that, okay? And that's one of our little secrets that we use that make the properties look great. It makes them pop. So now let's see how we tie it all together. So you see this is one of our living rooms here from one of our properties in Dallas. There's the neutral tones on the walls, new blinds, the vinyl plank flooring. Looks like hardwood, looks great, right? Not very expensive to put that stuff down, but very durable. Oil-based paint on the trim too, makes it pop, it's shiny, it's nice, easy to clean. New outlet light switch covers, outlet and light switch covers, all that. It's just new, white, fresh. Not very expensive to replace all that stuff. But, I've walked rental properties with my friends and they're looking to rent properties, and you should see some of these homes. They're in nicer neighborhoods than what we buy in, but it's like, man, the quality of this house is not even nice. Like, they didn't even really clean it there very good. They have old gold fixtures on the doors, old fans, just stuff that looks dated. You look at this room, everything looks nice, everything looks new, everything looks pretty modern, right? But yeah, new fixtures, that's gonna attract a good tenant. That's gonna attract somebody that's willing to pay a little bit above market value too. You look at this home, everything looks new, modern. I would rent this property. So that stuff's very important here. Next would be our kitchen. So you see this kitchen, it all looks pretty modern. Those are some pretty modern colors, the darker cabinets, new appliances there. All, like I said, all the houses come with new appliances, the epoxy coated counters. Now you're kind of seeing where I'm saying, hey, white Formica, that's not going to look as nice in there. But look at that. It's like a tan kind of fleck in there. It kind of almost looks kind of like a granite, but it looks much better than white Formica tops. Okay. And same thing in the bathroom. So the new bronze hardware that we put in there, the oil rub bronze faucet, all that stuff looks modern. Same epoxy coating, put it in the bathrooms too. Painted the cabinets in the bathroom with the oil-based paint that gave the darker color. Makes everything look modern and new and nice. And you look at this bathroom, everything looks clean, brand new. That's what tenants want to see. So going into that, you got to go talk about the tenant screening, right? So this is where your risk, aside from, your acquisitions, where obviously you can start yourself off with a lot of risk on the acquisition side, but this tenant screening process is very, very important too, because this is where you can run into trouble. So if you're going to manage these homes yourself, or if you're going to work with a management company, you need to make sure that you are doing the following: doing an income verification, making sure that your tenant makes at least 3 times the monthly rent gross. So our average rents down here in Texas, $1,600. These people make 50, 60 grand a year at least that are living in our properties. That's true middle class here for Dallas. So you're really attracting a really good tenant that's going to end up being, taking good care of the property, having a sense of pride and ownership without being the actual owner is important. And these people that have these better paying jobs and are, they're more responsible people. They keep a better home. They don't beat up on the home. You don't want to attract tenants that are going to beat up on your property. So we also do a background check. No felonies or violent convictions. If you have any of that, you're not getting in one of my homes. It's not happening. No evictions. No sex offenders. The credit check, it's a minimum of 550. If you're below 550, I'm just going to decline you. It's not going to happen. Okay? And then here's how we do the security deposits based on credit score. 650 and above, 1 month deposit. Okay, so you're starting out with $1,500, $1,600. $599 and below, a month and a half. And then if you meet that bare minimum, the 550 score, I want a double deposit. And I'm getting them. And I'm taking them. And my owners are starting off with, $3,000, $3,200. You think the tenant's going to take pretty good care of the property? I could guarantee they are. They want to get that money back. So that's why we'll take that double deposit there. And now let's go right into management. So tenant screening and management kind of fall into the same category. But factors to consider when looking for a good property manager. So if you're out there vetting a good property manager, they need to hit the following points here. You're going to want to know their knowledge of the industry. You're going to want to make sure that they have the proper infrastructure in place to support the portfolio size. So you're going to want to ask them, how many homes do you manage? If they tell you they manage 1,000 homes and they only have 1 or 2 property managers, they're overwhelmed. They're not going to give you the type of service that you're looking for. Somebody that's managing 1,000 properties better have at least 4 managers. All right. Communication, very important. What is their follow-up for communication? What is their process for communicating with their owners? Fee structure, obviously the fees are important. What's the management fee? But, I caution you to shop around for the cheapest management fee because you're going to get what you pay for. If a management company's out there shopping, or selling, really deeply discounted fees, what type of company could this be? Maybe they're just not that good of a company and they're just trying to beat out the competition of the good actual property management companies because they're just saying, oh, we're cheaper. But what type of service are you going to get with that cheap fee? Okay? It's not just all about dollars and cents with these investments. It's not. It's about quality. Okay? And then you want to look at technology. Do they have a property management portal? What type of technology is in place? I've been to property management companies that are still running off paper. They just had files and files and files. It's like they're not even working off a computer. You got to make sure that this is the 21st century. There's so much software and applications out there to help these property managers keep track of these homes for their clients, for their owners. So definitely find out what type of stuff they're using. What do they have in place? So now let's delve in a little bit deeper. So knowledge of the industry, right? Ask these questions to better understand the company. What types of properties do you manage? I know managers like us specifically here in Dallas, we only manage A-class, and we only will manage properties that rent for 1,200 and above, because we know once you get below 1,200, you start to creep into a higher risk investment, and my managers don't want to invest in them. And I know this is Texas, and there's gun laws that favor and all that, but my managers don't want to carry guns. Okay, they don't want to carry guns in the neighborhoods where they're managing. They want to feel safe. They have families. Okay, I want them to feel safe where they're managing properties. Do you represent a specific property class? You know, we're on the B plus to A in Dallas. That's it. Do you have a rent minimum? Like I said, 1,200. And then what's your experience managing properties? Our property manager, our COO here, Scotty Mitchell, he has 4 years of experience in DFW, and he has even more than that in New York and other markets managing homes. So he has a ton of experience, but a lot here in DFW. So that's why he's in the position that he's in. Now, the proper infrastructure to support portfolio size. Ideally, you want a property manager that's large enough to have the best resources, but not so large that your investment could easily get lost in the shuffle. We recommend finding a property management company with a maximum of 250 properties per manager. That's what I've found over time, and what Scotty will agree is safe. You know, especially with A-class properties, you can manage 250 on your own. But that's about it. I wouldn't push more than 250, because now, you know, you're going to run into situations where are they watching all of them? Are they keeping their eye on all of them equally? Are they getting a little overwhelmed? You're going to see that, okay? Communication. So choose a company that communicates throughout the entire investment process. At the beginning of the relationship with a property management company, it's important that you are clearly communicated. They communicate to you your expectations as an owner. As time passes, make sure that your line of communication remains open, no matter the situation. Property management companies that get too busy to provide regular updates on your investment should be avoided. At AREI and American Real PM, we recommend that a good property manager should be able to respond within 24 hours to any communication. And that is what we instill every day into our entire staff. You know, I believe with my investment concierge, you know, if you can't answer something in 20 minutes, and you need to get back to the client in 20 minutes and say, hey, I can't answer this right now, but I'm going to give you a proper expectation of when I am going to have an answer. And that all needs to be done within 20 minutes. But if it's something that needs a day to handle, and our property managers are held to this expectation as well, that you need to respond within 24 hours for anything. So even if it's an investment concierge here, they don't have the question for you. They need to reach out to the manager, because we're in 4 different markets. We're up in St. Louis, Kansas City. We're down in Houston. We're here in Dallas. So if you need an answer from your property manager, they could be in the field. They could be doing something, but they are required to get back to that investor concierge within 24 hours so they can update the client. Okay. The fee structure. The fees of a property management company should be straightforward and easy to understand. You're a partner, not just another fee-generating item in their portfolio. If their goals are in line with your goals, the relationship should result in something that is mutually beneficial. And I believe this wholeheartedly. I tell all my investors all the time, you know, the reason why you're going to have a good experience with us is because our goals are all in line with your goals. We're an investment company first. Okay, so we have very affordable fees, I believe, especially for the service that we offer. You know, but also you're not working with us. You're not going to see the nickel and dime charges on your statements each month, because, like I said, we're an investment company first. I need to show my investors positive returns month to month, year to year. So that's why we have all of our in-house crews that do the maintenance on our properties too. You know, we don't put any extra fees on top of maintenance. Everything's done at cost. You know, we try and push as much stuff back on the tenant as possible. You know, if the tenant breaks it, we go there and it looks like it's tenant-induced damage, the tenant's paying for it, not the owner. Why should the owner pay for something that the tenant broke or the tenant's child broke? Okay? That's not the way we do things here. And so you just need to make sure that your management company has those same goals in mind, because property management is a cash cow type of business. They're trying to put fees on top of everything. You know, if they don't have the same goals as you do, they don't care if your property performs each month. they're going to be jumping for joy every time there's a maintenance request, right? Give me 5 a month, because that's how they make money. Okay? And they better be able to back up any sort of maintenance with a bill or an invoice or an estimate and show you what type of work was done. Ask for photos. Show me what was broke. Show me the before photo. Show me the after photo. You need that type of you need to set that expectation, or you could definitely be raked over the coals with managers. You can. I've been victim of it. So then technology. Technology is beneficial. Make sure your property manager leverages some of it. The benefits of embracing property management technology include property management portals, Appfolio, Propertyware. You have that sort of system, you're going to be able to have an online presence, an online system to where your tenants can go and pay rent. That's how we easily are able to get rent, right? They can just pay, put their bank account in there, whatever it may be, and just send the money directly to the management company. It's easy for tenants to make maintenance requests too. We want to keep the tenants happy while they're in the property. If something does break, and it wasn't their fault, we want to make it easy on them. Go onto the portal. You can go right from your cell phone, make a maintenance request. We'll be out there to fix it right away. We want to keep them happy so they want to stay. Make their experience easy. Make their experience passive with the management company. Limit turnover. Keep the tenants in the house. And I'll tell you what, if you have a good system and you make it easy on them to pay rent and make maintenance requests, and you're out there to fix these issues when they arise, they're going to be happy. They're going to want to stay. They're not going to want to go anywhere else. And I'm sure they probably had bad experiences before too with management companies. So sometimes when a tenant gets a good property manager, they're like, wow, man, I don't want to go anywhere. These guys are great. But also, with the portal, it's easy for our owners to track their investment, see the cash flow coming in each month, and the distribution information, right? And then also, these portals, these like Propertyware and all that, they give you at the end of each year a CPA ready statement, profit and loss statement to give to your CPA to file your taxes. Okay, and if you got a good CPA, you're taking advantage of all those tax incentives. Your depreciation. Any maintenance that was done on the property. You go and visit the property in Dallas and you don't live here, write it off. You're going to check out your business. Your business is your rental properties. Okay? Write off your management fees. Write off your interest if you purchase the home with a loan. Okay, there's tons of tax benefits too with owning rentals. So now we'll kind of get into our management FAQ. Some of our frequently asked questions. How long will it take for inquiries to be answered? As I said, it's within 1 business day. How long is the initial management contract for? First contract's 1 year. What is your management fee? Management fee here in Texas is 8%. It's 10% in Missouri. That's on rents collected. Your property's vacant. We're not collecting rent. We're not charging you. What is your leasing fee? 100% a month, 1 month's rent. That's to put the property on the MLS and all the different advertising avenues out there. We want other agents to bring in qualified applicants. It's not just about getting the property leased quickly. It's about getting the most qualified applicant in the house as well. That's where you're going to set yourself up for success. So 1 month's rent is worth it to put it on the MLS and pay that out as commissions to agents to bring a lot of different applicants to you. Our lease renewal fee, it's 25% of 1 month's rent in Texas. It's $250 flat fee in Missouri. Do you have any other fees associated with your management company like eviction setup, etc.? Nope, we do not. We do not do that. We don't try and nickel and dime you. I told you, we're an investment company first. We do not believe in nickel and diming our investors on management fees and extra fees. We want you to come back and invest with us again. We want you to refer us to your family, friends, and we just want to keep the customer loyalty going. And we found we do that by not gouging our investors with fees. So when do you pay your owners? Our owner disbursements are initiated on the 15th of each month and allow 3 to 5 business days for receipt. Okay, it's going to be an ACH. It could be 3 to 5 days, but you will see that distributed on the 15th of each month. Who holds the security deposits? We hold and maintain the tenant security deposits in escrow for all of our owners. How will I see if any and all information regarding my property, including my statements? Owners have 24/7, 365 access to the secure portal, and you also have your investor concierge that you'll be working with as well that will know everything about your property that you can reach out to anytime, and they're instructed to reach out to you at least once a month. Okay. And then you see there that statements will be available after the 10th of each month for the previous month. Okay. Do I have to pay any management fees while my property is vacant? No, we do not charge management fees while the property is vacant, only when the property is leased. I have heard that the industry average for rent collection is 80%, which is true on a monthly basis. What is yours? To date, we have collected 97% of our rents by the 10th of the month, and that is our goal to maintain that. That's really great. My guys do a great job. How long is your average vacancy, and what is your average vacancy rate? So average vacancy is 10 to 14 days. That's just to get the property turned back on the market. Most cases, it's sometimes even less than that because we start pre-marketing these properties in Dallas right when we know that the tenant is moving out and not going to renew. And usually we can have somebody, we say, hey, this property is going to be available on this date. They're literally ready to move in the day that we get the property turned. This market's just so hot right now. That's one of the biggest reasons I love Dallas is because vacancies are at such a minimum. How long does it take to process applications? It's usually within 24 hours, right in line with, we just even our view on getting back to our owners. We're getting back to our tenant applications within 24 hours. And what do you do to find the best tenant for the property? Complete background investigations are done. And all properties are marketed on as many websites as possible through our syndication partners and MLS, like I said. That's why that 1 month's rent it goes to the leasing fee. It's worth it. Trust me. And do you have an emergency maintenance contact method? Yes, we do. We have 24/7 emergency maintenance lines. So our line to call. And how do you make sure that you don't overspend on property maintenance? We will troubleshoot all reported issues with the property and require evidence when appropriate to mitigate unnecessary costs, like tenant damage. We have vendor relationships already in place with and negotiated bulk pricing with no upcharge. And the vendor relationships would be for any, HVAC work and things like that. But if it's just routine maintenance and stuff and simple stuff, it's our guys that actually work on the properties and do the renovations that actually go and handle that sort of stuff as well. Just minor maintenance repairs. And do I have to make sure utilities are connected or disconnected? Nope, we handle all of that for you. Do you monitor all city and state code compliance and laws regarding my property? Yes, we do. We are very conscientious of that. Do you deal with all HOA requirements and registrations? Yes, upon owner's request. If the owner requests that we handle all that, we will do that for you. I love HOAs personally. They watch the neighborhood. They make sure that no one's doing anything funky. And, we will monitor that for you. If you don't want to use it, trust me, I want this investment to be passive for you. So as passive as possible. So if you want our management company to handle and deal with your HOA, we will do that. And what is your historical eviction rate and how long does an eviction take? And this historical rate is actually dating back to when Scotty was working for a different property management company that we used to use. And this is across our portfolio and all the homes they used to manage as well. But it's a less than 1% eviction rate here in Texas and with our A-class inventory, and that is true. We rarely ever have to evict somebody, and if we do have to evict somebody, it's not an eviction. We don't go through the process. They either lost their job, went through some sort of financial hardship, they just turn the keys over. I mean, it is very, very rare. We do such a good job vetting these tenants out. We don't buy in bad neighborhoods out here. The rents are higher, and we just don't experience the eviction. We just don't. But if it does, in the rare case that it does arise, it will take approximately 30 days to go through the eviction process. About 30 days, we can have them out. Usually 30 days or less here in Texas. Texas is pretty landlord-friendly. A lot more landlord-friendly than what I was accustomed to in Michigan, that's for sure. And then, do I need to inspect the property prior to a tenant moving in or upon a tenant vacating the property? We do move-in, move-out inspections by the property manager himself. He will do that. And we also do a comprehensive photo documentation to protect your asset, and they are performed every time. So you'll see move-out photos every time, so you know what the condition of the property was. We're not trying to pull one over on you, okay? And last but not least, we'll end with the investor concierge. So if you invest with my company, and if you're investing with any other turnkey providers, you need to make sure that there's some sort of customer service support as well. Do you have somebody that you can reach out to at AREI or at any other company that you're working with that's going to have a customer service rep available for you? We don't want to forget about our clients after sale, and we don't just sell you the home and then say, okay, work with American Real PM now. you'll never hear from us again. No, my investment coordinators touch base with you about every 90 days, make sure everything's going good, make sure that your goals are being reached, and then your investor concierge is introduced to you right after you close by your transaction coordinator with us. You'll be introduced and assigned an investor concierge, and that is your point of contact. You'll have their number at the office, their cell phone number. You have any questions, concerns, you are to reach out to them immediately so we can get those questions or concerns resolved or any problems resolved. If your property is vacant, you're getting weekly updates, monthly checkups to make sure that the rental disbursements were received, also to go over your management statements with you. And they are constantly in communication with property management, so you don't have to be. That's the investor concierge job, to constantly be in touch with the property manager, making sure that all the goals are of all of us involved are in line, and that is their job. And so the investor concierge schedules an executive call after close with AREI senior management, which would be myself or another member of our senior team. And we also schedule 90-day review calls with your investment coordinator, like I said. So we like to keep your coordinator in touch with you as well, just to make sure that everything's running smooth and everything that your investment coordinator relayed to you and promised you and all that's being delivered on. So we like to definitely keep a lot of contact with our investors, because I know you could be anywhere in the country. You could be in Michigan, you could be in Maine, you could be in Boston, you could be in Florida, you could be in California. You're investing in Dallas, or you're investing in Houston, you're investing in St. Louis, Kansas City, whatever it may be. Or maybe you're investing in all of them. And your investment coordinator, your one point of contact, is going to know about what's going on with all of your properties that you own with American Real Estate Investments. That's the goal of the investor concierge, to make it very easy. But you don't live here, so you need to rely on us and our team that we're doing everything that we said we would. And so that's why we set in this whole customer service back-end support. And you see below there, our investor concierge team provides clients with extra security. We want our owners to have one main point of contact for anything related to their property, and your concierge will know exactly what is going on with your properties no matter where the home is located. So like I said, you could invest with us in every one of our markets, all 4 different markets. You could have a home, and that one person will know what's going on with all of your properties. That's the goal. So that was just over an hour on the webinar. Thank you all for joining us, or joining me on this webinar and learning more about our processes and what we do and how we help our clients build passive income every day. So if you have not invested with us yet and are interested in investing with us, I recommend that you go to www.areiusa.com and input your information, your phone number, your email, just on your Contact Us page. You also have an opportunity where you can go ahead and schedule a call to speak with one of our investment coordinators, and they will reach out to you and they will go over, all the available opportunities that we have, provide even more insight on anything I did not cover in this webinar, and get back with you and work with you in terms of identifying a good property that's going to fit your goals and resources. And whether you're a new investor or a seasoned investor, we help all sorts of different investors out there. So we specialize in helping new investors, but we have people that come to us that have invested in real estate for quite some time and have a ton of experience. Our investment coordinators can help you as well, and the team here at American Real Estate Investments can definitely help you as well. So like I said, visit us on the Contact Us page, or you can call our office direct, 888-323-AREI. 888-323-AREI. Or you can just drop me an email. You can contact me at Larson, LARSON, at AREIUSA.com. I look forward to speaking with you, and I look forward to the opportunity to help you build passive income through real estate. Thank you so much.